Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, sallallahu wasallam, barak ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, tasliman kathira thumma ma ba'd. So how many of you are going to be celebrating with fireworks tonight or tomorrow? Be careful with that, Jama'ah. There's a sunnah that comes with the using fire and utilizing fire at home. It's very dangerous and it's very important to pay attention to it. In Hadith number 161 in Riyadh al-Salihin, al-Muhafadha ala sunnah, safeguarding the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As I was coming here to the masjid, I'm hearing all the blasts and all the explosions happening. So I'm not sure if this actually fireworks because it's supposed to be tomorrow, right? Or is there an accident and all of a sudden all these boxes are kind of exploding in the air? So I'm not really sure what happened there. But it's very loud and you could see it from distance towards downtown Irving in that direction. So Allahu Alam. But that's for me, this subhanAllah, the hadith is kind of around that meaning, in which Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu warḍah قال احترق بيت بالمدينة على أهله من الليل. Says a house in Medina caught fire at night and the roof and walls fell down upon the occupants. Like subhanAllah, and an accident that could have been avoided, right? If we observed a little bit more caution. So when the Prophet ﷺ heard about that, فلما حدث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بشأنهم قال إن هذه النار عدو لكم فإذا نمتم فأطفئوها عنكم متفق عليه. He said صلى الله عليه وسلم, when he heard about the situation, the incident, he said when this he said fire is your enemy, so put it out before you go to bed. Rawah Al-Bukhari and Muslim. What does it mean over here? Let's see a few things in this hadith. So it's a very simple circumstance. Subhanallah, people are sleeping and the house caught fire. What could possibly be the reason for that? What do you guys think? Fireworks? Most likely not. But what is it? Back then there was no electricity, man. Back then. So what happened back then? They must have left the fire on at night. Whether it's oil lamp, maybe candles, perhaps maybe just charcoal that left it to warm up the house, perhaps. Whatever that is. But traces of fire were left in the house and somehow it caught fire. Maybe the oil was spilled. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he says, he recommends to one of the animals that you should kill, mice. So because usually al-fuwaysiqa, it could set the whole house on fire because of that. So eventually it could be because of something like this happened to them. The house caught fire. And now the Prophet ﷺ is warning us against fire. When he said, إِنَّ هَذِهِ نَارْ عَدُوٌّ لَكُمْ, that the fire is an enemy to you. Although we have in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the fire for what? For benefit for us. To warm up, make it safety, we cook with it, so many things. So why would the Prophet ﷺ call it adu if it was not guarded? If it wasn't guarded, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنَّ مِنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ وَأَوْلَادِكُمْ عَدُوًّا لَكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُم. Sometimes your family can be your enemy. How so? I mean, there's your family, it's supposed to be your loved ones, right? Yeah, if you don't pay attention to them, if you don't raise them well, they can be your enemies. And what would the enemy want of you? They want to hurt you, they want to harm you. So sometimes, unfortunately, some members of the family can cause harm to you. Just like that fire can cause harm to you. So it becomes like an enemy to you. So the Prophet ﷺ is guiding us to safeguard that fire, not to not use fire at home, just safeguard yourself from that. How? فَإِذَا نِمْتُمْ, which means when no one is watching it anymore, when no one is being around it anymore, then what? Put it down, put it off, right? That's in households. What if it was outside, outdoors, if we were camping, for example? Would that get the same ruling? Most likely not, because now we're in open space. However, if the circumstances similarly to cause damage, then yeah, you should be careful with that. Like for example, if you're going to be sleeping in an area where it's an open space and wind is blowing, you might cause fire to the tents, for example, or fire to the entire woods. In this case, no, you need to be careful. Keep safeguarding that fire as well too. So the hadith teaches very major lessons, Jama'ah. Of these lessons, the importance of what we call the maqasid al-sharia. And it's one of some of the maqasid, means the objectives of the Islamic law overall. All the rules that we learn in the Sharia has 5 major principles. 2 of them in this hadith were mentioned in this hadith. Number 1, property and life. The sanctity of property and the sanctity of life. SubhanAllah, yani just a simple act of negligence when it comes to the fire cost people their lives and also their properties. How many people, yani they lost property because they didn't pay attention to some of their, fire elements in the house, whether it's a candle, or maybe they left the fireplace on too long, they didn't pay attention to it. Perhaps they left the oven on, or even the stove on, left something on it and start burning at some point. Acts of negligence can cause people loss of life and loss of property. And our Sharia is all its ruling is about preserving these things. And here the Prophet ﷺ highlighting these 2 things for us over here. He says, don't do this. It's an enemy for you. So therefore make sure that you turn it off when you go to sleep. We also learn from this is that Nabi ﷺ was even careful to teach people about some of the basics of the dunya, not just the akhirah. Like what? Teaching us a lesson about household safety, ya Jama'ah. So even at home, you need to teach your kids safety, household safety. Don't do this, don't touch this, make sure this is off, make sure this is on, don't put this on this. You teach your children household safety. Also the same thing, make sure the doors are locked when you go to sleep, the backyard, this and that and so on. Just like sometimes here we alert people regarding certain weather conditions. If it's going to be windy, if it's going to be actually icy, make sure that you have the right preparation for that. If you have anything that flies around in their backyard, make sure to tie it down, for example, whether it's a trampoline or chairs or whatever. All these things, they sound something not from the from the akhirah or from the ibadat, but in principle, it's part of our deen, that we preserve our properties, our household, and the sanctity and the safety of everybody, insha'Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. So make sure, Jama'ah, when you go home, insha'Allah azza wa jal, before you go to sleep, make sure that before you go to sleep, anything that has a source of fire in it, that you turn it off. Like what about lights? That's electricity. What if it gets short circuit, for example? It can cause big damage. Well, it depends. That means your responsibility to make sure that whatever devices you use at home, they're actually up to the safety code. That's very important. Also, making sure not to go stingy or cheap on what, Jama'ah? Smoke detectors. Oh, they're very, very expensive right now. They cost about $200 to replace the whole house. Do it. Because it's still cheaper than, la qaddar Allah, having to remodel the entire house. If, Allah musta'an, maybe a loss of life as a result of that. So if you haven't checked your smoke detectors, you gotta do it tonight, inshallah ta'ala. You know that one that keeps beeping, in the background? I know you all have one somewhere at home. And sometimes it's too high to go to. I just forget it, man, until it dies out completely, right? No. Please make sure to take precaution and keep household safety a priority for you, inshallah ta'ala. It's part of our deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you, preserve in your household, ya Rabbil Alameen. Any question, Jama'ah? Yes?
Yeah, this hadith addresses safety, basically.
Safety, of course.
We consider this also religious matter and
Absolutely. And the safety of your family and your household and your occupant of the house, it's a religious matter that you're responsible for. It's not something to take lightly. May Allah preserve and protect you all, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Another question, Jama'ah? I was thinking that someone's going to ask me for a brand for smoke detectors. I'm not making commercial ads over here, Jama'ah. Just make sure to do it right, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.